Oh, well, I guess the intro video wasn't working. All right, we'll roll with it. We're teachers here. What is up? Happy Monday evening. I hope everyone's having a super day. Welcome to another episode of the Deets with Dr. A. Dr. A here. We have another amazing show coming up for you tonight, but it's Monday, so let's end the day strong and get us going into Tuesday all the way through. Before you know it, it will be Friday and weekend. So we got another superb show here for you today. We got more rock star guests to bring on. But before we bring on Sarah and Tatiana, a few quick things. First off, let's bring on and say hello to our main man and executive producer, Matt. Are you with us, Matt?
I am. Sorry about that. I got so excited about the show. I got itchy fingers. I was like, we got two guests. We got to get these guys on now. So can't waste any time on intros. So.
Well, thanks again, Matt. Well, let's keep it rolling here, but I appreciate it. All right, so real quick here at the Learning Liaisons, we're a leader in test prep for our teachers and aspiring leaders when it comes to the Florida teacher certification exams as well as the praxis exams nationwide. And we started providing these services about 2014 and help thousands of teachers every year, just like you, pass their certification exam. So that's what we do here at the Learning Liaisons. We got very exciting stuff coming up every single week here from our team members on our courses on our website. So the next phase of the Learning Liaisons, bringing into what we're doing right now, is we want to provide teachers and aspiring school leaders with the training, the relevant, engaging training that they deserve. Enter the Deets with Dr. A. So I'm so honored that you're here spending a Monday evening with us at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whether you're watching live or watching our recording on our YouTube channel. We welcome you. And make sure you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. This way you get notifications of all of our great videos we post, as well as our Monday sessions. Every Monday night, we're doing this all throughout the year with special guests. Now, every week is not certification, maybe once in a while, but every week we have authentic, real professional development. We've had stuff in the past already about bullying, social distancing in the classroom. We had topics about. We talked about distant learning, ed tech tools last week. So we got a lot of cool events coming up every single Monday night. And we will put the information on the bottom of the screen on how to get access to our episode. We have them lined up all the way through August right now. And we're about to add a bunch more to the list as well. So coming up next week, before we start today's session, who we got up next week? Next week, if you are interested in learning about how to use social media to enhance your classroom experience, get more followers, engage with your students on a safe platform, then you definitely don't want to miss next week's guest. We have a teacher from one of our Southern Florida school districts who's really using social media, especially Instagram, to connect with our students and increase the engagement in the classroom. So definitely tune in. It's going to be a real fun and cool episode next week. All right, so let's throw that one down. So whether you're watching the recording on our YouTube channel or joining us live, go ahead. Now's the time to share. Go ahead and grab the URL on the top of the screen, post it on your social media, or take a snapshot of the screen right now if you're using your smartphone. Post it on your social media, hashtag the Deets. Let's spread this around. Let's get all the educators on here as the weeks roll by to provide them with what you guys deserve, which is cool, engaging, relevant, and meaningful professional development. All right, so now's the time. Let's bring on this week's guest, Dr. Sarah Miller and Mrs. Tatiana Keith from good folks over at TeacherReady. We've been working closely with TeacherReady over the last couple of years to provide that support for our FTCE prep for their folks in their program. So let me turn it over to you guys. Why don't you introduce yourselves, how you got into education, what your role is over at TeacherReady, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Sounds great, Jason. Thanks. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Miller, and I'm the Director of Student Services at TeacherReady. I've been with TeacherReady full-time for about 10 years and part-time even before then. So I was a classroom teacher, taught special education in all grade levels for about 17 years and was a school administrator. And near the end of my time in the school district, I started teaching for TeacherReady and fell in love with it. Although I was a traditionally prepared teacher, I loved how TeacherReady just really taught the nuts and bolts to get people ready for the classroom. So when they asked me to come on board full time, I just couldn't pass that up, and I've loved every minute of it. So I look forward to talking with everyone today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tatiana Keith, and I am the Clinical Experience and Field Placement Manager for the TeacherReady program. I'm happy to be here with you this afternoon and share some of our experiences and some very important information with you. So my experience with the TeacherReady is that for once I taught for many years and without a teaching certificate, which is probably something that can resonate with you. And at some point, I found the need to get a teaching certificate. So that's how I became familiar with TeacherReady. So I am actually a TeacherReady alumni, and I got my teaching certificate in Spanish. Even though I do not teach at this moment, I work with our teacher candidates all the time, finding them a field placement, and I also work very closely with our mentor teachers.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Tatiana, for joining us here. So if you are watching tonight and you've been watching each week, or you've attended one of our previous sessions, we're only in episode 7 already, go ahead and let us know in the comment box. We definitely want to hear from you. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to do basically the same thing that we do each week. We've got a series of discussion questions. We'll branch off on those. We're going to talk about the alternative certification process. And then later on, we're going to talk about how you can fast track your teacher certification with what TeacherReady does and what they have offered to you. So we're going to go through a bunch of discussion questions. In the meantime, please, if you have questions about anything, I already saw, don't worry, Christine, I saw your question already. We're going to get to your question here in a little bit. If you have any questions about the certification process, you can go ahead and throw them in the comment box. And we're going to pop them on the screen at the appropriate time. And these lovely ladies will be happy to tackle those questions for you and put you in the right direction. So the topic here of today's session is obviously alternative certification. So we know that there are probably two main tracks of certification. Those are our College of Ed students, right? So they go in there and they go through the program to pass their exams, do their coursework, graduate, have their certificate. Versus the other track, which we're going to talk about here tonight, is probably, I would say, I don't know if you ladies would agree, probably the bigger demographic sector is alternative certification. This is those people who have a different 4-year degree, but want to come into the classroom and be a teacher. So I'll let you guys kind of expand on that. So let's tackle the most important question. What is alternative certification?
I think that's a great place to start, Jason. So alternative certification is a shortened program. So it's, as Jason mentioned, it's for folks who already have a bachelor's, and it can be a bachelor's in anything. And if you want to come into teaching, you certainly don't want to have to go back and take another 4-year degree, or maybe you don't want to do a full master's program. So an alternative certification route is a shortened route in order to get your teacher certification. It was originally created because there were teacher shortages, and of course we still have teacher shortages, but the Department of Education actually went to colleges and universities and said, hey, we need to find a shorter pathway because we have career changers who can't quit their job and go out and do a full-time student teaching for 8 or 9 weeks at a time. So that's why alternative certification was actually created, and it's just gotten larger and larger each year. You do have to have a bachelor's degree in order to take an alternative certification program, but again, it can be a bachelor's degree in anything.
Awesome. Anyone here watching, whether you're watching live or the recording, anyone in the alternative certification path, or that's something that they're working toward? Any questions? We're definitely here. We're going to answer everything we got going on here today. So one of the bigger questions that people ask too, and I have a lot of people that ask me this question, is how does alternative certification differ from a traditional route, like going through a college of education or any other example?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So let's expand a little bit more and talk about those differences. So we all have in our head an idea of what the traditional pathway is. That's that 4-year degree where at the end you do the traditional student teaching. You have to quit your job. You're actually in the school all day, every day for 8 or 9 months. And it was not uncommon for folks to get all the way to that point, and when they went into the classroom, decide, ooh, this is not for me. I may not even like teaching. And I've now spent 3.5 years in a program for teaching. So that's a great thing about alternative certification. Right off the bat, it's a mix of the coursework and the field work. And then, of course, there's those state exams as well. But the field work is one of the biggest differences in the program because the field work is very flexible. It's spread throughout the program in most cases. And it's shortened compared to that 8 or 9 weeks of student teaching in a traditional program. So for most alternative certification programs, you don't have to quit your job. You can continue working full time and you can actually get your full certification. And I think that it's neat that the National Association for Alternative Certification has come out recently and said 83% of teachers who take alt cert paths are staying in the classroom, compared to 60% retention rate of those traditionally prepared after 3 years. So that means, yeah, folks are learning what they need to learn, and they're being prepared, and they're enjoying teaching.
So you feel like that the people who come in through the alternative certification route are more confident and willing to stay in the profession based on their experience versus people with the traditional route?
That's exactly right. They can bring those life experiences with them, and the students are then able to see how their learning connects with real life. And there's nothing more important than that.
Awesome. Because you kind of addressed something some people don't realize is that you said it before, is that you don't have to quit your job. This is something that you can do running parallel to your current profession if you want to make that switch into education. But this is a requirement that all teachers need to go through a certification process. Like we said before, majority of people aren't going through a college of education. They're changing careers. They have a different degree and they want to get into the classroom. So this is something that you have to do. And I'm sure we'll talk about it here eventually, but I know this also ties into, well, I'm at a school district. Can I just do it at my school district versus doing a program? So I'm sure you're going to talk about that in a little bit. So I don't want to jump ahead too much. All right. So what are the benefits of choosing an alternative certification route?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So one of the main benefits definitely is that if you are currently working full time, when you enroll in an alternative teaching certificate, you should be able to do it without any problems. You have these alternative certification programs are designed mainly for career changers. So you are already grown up, you have family responsibilities, work responsibilities, and enrolling in a program like this is completely doable. Another of the benefits that I would say, and I'm talking from experience, is that, and this is a very common question that we get from our potential candidates, is that, for example, if my undergraduate degree is in English, do I need to get certified in English? Well, no. So that is one of the biggest benefits of this alternative route. In my case, my undergraduate degree is in business administration. Well, guess what? My teaching certificate is in Spanish, so completely different. So that's something that really helps our teacher candidates.
Awesome. All right. So is there a difference in the teaching certificate if it's earned through an alternative certification program versus not?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in Florida, if you get your teaching certificate through an alternative route or the traditional route, you will get a professional teaching license. This license is valid for 5 years and it is also renewable. However, in some other states, if you get your teaching certificate through an alternative route, this might lead to a temporary license. So what you want to do in this case is always check with your Department of Education. And now this is true for any of the processes, and I mean, with our latest situation, global situation, we know that things can change rapidly. So for any of these processes with certification, you always want to check with your Department of Education for the most updated information.
Yep. And if you want to check with your state Department of Education, please make sure you block off about 2 to 3 hours of your time and have a good TV show or have your Netflix next to you ready to roll, because it's going to be a little wait on the we love the Department of Education, but we know that there's a long wait because they're very busy people and have a lot of things to do. All right, awesome. So anybody watching here, watching online or recording, if you're in an alternative certification program currently, let us know. And also, if you have any questions, whether you're watching live or the recording, go ahead and post those in the comment box. We have a couple people here posted some questions, which we'll get to in a little bit. So go ahead and share any questions that you have when it comes to the certification route. We're going to answer some of those questions, and these ladies are going to talk about how you can fast track that process. Yeah, Nicole, you can put your question in the comment box, or we also, and I think Matt could drop the link in there too, because maybe it got lost in the feed. If you want to jump into the room too, we could jump in. You could jump in on video and ask your questions as well. So I think we can, Matt, can you go ahead and throw that in the comment box too? That link in case anybody wants to pop in the room. We'd love to have you on the video here as well. But yes, Nicole, you can post your question in the comment box. All right. So actually, you know what? Let's throw one up on here because I don't want to lose any of these. Christine posted one right when we started. She's a paraprofessional looking into getting into teaching in elementary school. She's already passed the general knowledge test. What's her next step?
Yeah. So hi, Christine. Happy to help you out there. So you have next to choose a program that you like. There are a lot of different alternative certification programs. Of course, we're partial to TeacherReady because that's where we're from. But I encourage you to check out a lot of different programs so that you can find what really best meets your need. One benefit about our program, and you would want to check with all the programs you're reviewing, would be, could you use your paraprofessional work as your field work? So in our program with TeacherReady, as long as you're a paraprofessional in an elementary school, that would count as your field work for us. So when you're reviewing programs, I would say that would be kind of a key component that you would want to ask as you're deciding what program is best for you.
Awesome. And we have a couple of people posted questions about specific programs and to talk about the TeacherReady program. Don't worry, we got your back. We're going to be talking about that real soon. I see your questions there, Linda. So our next question here is, are alternative programs as respected as traditional programs? Does that impact hiring? And I get that. We have a, for our Florida teachers who are watching this live or the recording, we have a private, it's free, private Facebook group called When You Pass. I don't know if we can put that, if Matt, you could throw that link in the box too. Definitely request access to that. But I get a lot of people ask that question sometimes because they feel like, you know, does it matter? Should I go back to college and get I get people ask me that, should I go back and get my education degree? But there's no reason to spend all that money and time to do that. So what do you guys think about that? Does it impact hiring? Are there any differences?
I think way back when alternative certification was brand new, it probably did have a little bit of an impact. But now alternative certification is very commonplace. As a matter of fact, about half of all teachers hired are hired from alternative certification routes. So it's now very, very respected. And not only that, but the school districts are realizing the importance of having a teacher to bring in those real life experiences so that they can help the students relate what they're learning to what they need in the real world. So in many cases, school districts value that and will put those folks even above a brand new teacher just out of school.
Yeah, it's all about experiences, and not to downplay anyone going through a college of education, but it just also depends on the principal, the administrators hiring you. I mean, if they person that feels like, hey, you worked in the real world for X amount of years and have great experience that you could share with the students, and you're on this track, you know, that might be a good fit for their school culture versus someone straight out of a college of education. So it just depends on the culture of the school as well, something to take into account that process there too. Awesome. All right, so let's throw in another question I have here. Nicole asked a question. If I did the temp certification for K through 6, I took all the FTC tests. I'm now doing the required classes through Beacon. Would it make sense to switch to K through 3, but I still have to take classes on my statement of eligibility?
So you can, once you're certified in any one area, you can add as many other areas as you want strictly by going on the FLDOE website and doing an application for a new initial subject area. Mm-hmm. So you could then just go in and add the pre-K primary, and that would cost $75. and then you would take the extra subject area exam, and when you're finished, you would be certified in both. So if you're not sure whether your coursework would change, that's a way to do it without having to throw any cogs in the wheel for changing any coursework.
Awesome. Did we tackle your question, Nicole? How was that? We got the experts here at your fingertips. All right, so let's move on to the next question. I lost my track here. So how can I get certified in less than a year? Here comes the good stuff here. How can we magically wave that wand and get our certification?
Well, you're in luck with TeacherReady. You can certainly get certified in less than a year. TeacherReady is actually a 9-month certification program, but believe it or not, it can even be done in faster than that. So with the TeacherReady program, there are 3 main components. There's coursework, there's field work, and there are the FTCE exams. With TeacherReady, if you finish a lesson, because we're one-on-one based, if you finish a lesson on a Tuesday, you can start the next lesson on a Wednesday. So you don't have to wait for a semester to start, for a class to start. When you submit an assignment, you have a one-on-one instructor who's going to give you that feedback and help you move forward. So you can go forward as quickly as you want. We do ask folks not to go slower than a lesson per month because of continuity of instruction, but you can go faster if you have the time available. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of teachers who are on a temporary certificate who in the summertime will just plow right through a lot of coursework because they have the time available. They're out of school. Mm-hmm. And then in the fall, when school starts, they just pick up that field work component right in their own classroom and take care of the exams. So certainly folks can move forward much faster. And you can also, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what would you say is the average time span that someone takes to complete the program?
So I would say the average time span is probably around 8 months. Although lately it has been much faster because of COVID and people being home more. So it can be completed in as little as 3 months and and as long as a year. So we are very flexible. With our program, you can actually start any day of the week. So that's another advantage. When someone is ready to start, they can just jump right in and they can get going, and you don't have to wait again for a group to start with.
Awesome. So this is a good question us to talk about, because I get a lot of people that ask these questions, whether it's programs like TeacherReady or some of the online programs or even their school programs, because we know like some school districts have PDCP programs. And I know someone asked a question. We'll get to that here in a second. We see a question. So some programs require you to pass your Florida teacher certification exams first. Mm-hmm. So is that different at TeacherReady? I mean, what are the requirements of someone? And we'll give the information on how to do that a little later on. But what are the requirements to apply for your program?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is actually a very good question because we get it a lot about the Florida teacher certification exams. So to enroll in TeacherReady, you do not have to pass any of the exams required first. You do have to pass them throughout the program, and we will give our students some recommendations on when would be the best timings. But definitely you do not have to pass any of them to start the process of admission with TeacherReady.
Are there programs out there that you do have to pass?
Yes.
First?
There are some programs that will require that you pass any of those exams first.
Okay, right. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Lisa asked a question before. Lisa asked, is TeacherReady a PDCP program? So if anybody doesn't know what PDC stands for, that's the district certification program that some school districts offer, not every one of them. So what can you guys what can you say about that?
Yeah, certainly. So we are a program through the University of West Florida. So the University of West Florida is a brick and mortar in Pensacola, but we call our alternative program TeacherReady. Mm-hmm. So we are different than the programs at the district level, but both end in the same result. So when you take the TeacherReady program and you finish, you're going to have your professional teaching certificate. If you take a district program, you do have to teach for at least a year and have a successful evaluation and take their coursework. Then you also would get your professional teaching certificate.
Awesome.
Now, para-educators generally cannot take the district program. You do have to be a teacher that's been hired on a temporary certificate in a district. So if you're a para-educator, then you would need to look at a program through a college or university instead of your district program.
Awesome. And Linda had a question a little earlier. Now's a good time to pop it on the screen. She was planning on starting with Future Teachers of Tomorrow. How does something like that compare to TeacherReady?
Yeah, so Linda, I think what I always recommend to folks is, although I love TeacherReady and I highly recommend it, I also think everybody has to pick the program that's going to best meet your needs. So I suggest you take a look at both programs' websites and then give both of us a call. And that way you can talk to people, see how you feel. It's not just about the program, it's about the relationship, and it's about, or is somebody going to help you every step of the way, all the way through the program? You know, how do you feel about that when you talk to them, and are they answering your questions? So to me, I think that's a great way to kind of make a decision who's going to best meet your needs.
Yeah.
One thing about TeacherReady is also when you take TeacherReady, let's decide later you would like to go ahead and get a master's. You can have up to a third of a master's completed for taking TeacherReady. So not only can you get master's credit for TeacherReady at our home university, University of West Florida, but we also have partner universities like Colorado State University Global and North Central University and Waldorf University and United States University. So we have a lot of different options if you decide later you would like to do a master's. So that's one benefit that's a little different from other programs and even from district programs and many other college and university programs.
Awesome. It's like, I always tell people, ask questions, look at their website when it's alternative certification, call them up, email them. Does someone actually answer the phone? Do they respond to your email? You think that's crazy, but how willing are they to help? It's like me here at the Learning Liaisons, our team here, if people message us on Facebook or email or text message 10, 11 o'clock at night, if I'm able to jump on there and answer it, I will. Are people willing to do what they can to help you? The TeacherReady has a Facebook group for their students. I mean, people ask questions. It's support motivation. Here at the Learning Liaisons, we have our Facebook groups for our praxis and our FTC exams. It's all about, are people willing to help you? Because as we know in the field of education, a lot of people leave because they don't feel like they're supported. So if you're not getting support at the onset through an alt-cert program like this, you definitely want to ask those questions before you spend your money. Because we know that some school districts you have to pay, some are free. These programs obviously have a cost, and these ladies will talk about it in a little bit. I see some of you guys have questions about the costs and how they compare, but we'll get to that in a little bit. RJ has a question. If you pass the subject area exam, GK, and professional, do you still have to do an alternative program?
Yes, so you do have to have some sort of a teacher prep program. So if you don't have a traditional route program where you have an education degree, then you would require some sort of an alternative program. It could either be through a district if you were hired on a temporary certificate, or it can be through a program like TeacherReady or another alternative program where they will help you get all the competencies that you need met so that you can get certified.
Yeah, and keep in mind that if you're a current teacher or you're getting hired right now, let's say this is your first year coming up or second year, some school districts do not have an alternative certification program. And they will send you to recommendations, an online program like TeacherReady or any local universities. But some of them do have programs and some of them still have a cost. So definitely weigh your options, even though you might be at a school district because it has a program like TeacherReady or some other online program might be better, just depending on your schedule. So always do that research. So let's keep moving to the next question here. And I see you guys have a lot of great questions. We're going to pop you on the screen here in a second. So the next question is, how much time does someone have to devote to their coursework if they're in an alt-cert program?
Well, I think that's one of the great things about TeacherReady, and particularly when you're looking at comparing even a district program or any other program, you want to know what is it that you have to do each week and how much time is that going to take. So with TeacherReady, most folks tell us that they have ample time to do all their readings and their assignments if they allot about 8 hours per week, and many do it even faster than that. Most of our assignments are about 1 page in length. We do not believe in killing people with busy work because we know our folks are working, taking care of families. They don't have time for a bunch of busy work. So most of our assignments are 1 page, and we ask you to answer each question in a paragraph. If a student doesn't completely understand something, a teacher candidate doesn't quite understand something, they get one-on-one feedback on all of their assignments, and that's going to guide you in the right direction, and you just resubmit that assignment. So for us, it's all about the learning. And if you have a lot of experience because you've been in the classroom, then you're going to be able to move through the coursework even faster because it is that competency-based component. And, I think it's great if folks are busy and have families that you can do your teacher-ready work any time of day or night that you want to. If you like to work at 3 a.m. on Saturday, well, that's just fine. So, whatever floats your boat, you can do that. That's one reason some folks with district programs will choose us. And that's because many district programs, you do have to come face-to-face after school and complete professional development. And, that's hard for some folks if you have small children, if you're taking care of an elderly parent, if you're a coach. That may be very difficult for you. But, you may have the time available to watch our videos and do our coursework, on the weekends. So it's really flexible.
And if you choose to do your work at 3 a.m., like Sarah said, you can always message her at 3 a.m. and ask her questions. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I get them sometime, but that's me. I don't wake up for that one. All right. So good stuff here. Let's see here. You talked earlier about field work component. A lot of people have questions about that, especially people who have other full-time jobs and want to do this and get ready to come into teaching, or some of them are already teaching. So how does that work? How does a field work component?
Well, the field work of the program is the fun part, I would say. So we have 2 types of students.
Uh-oh, did we lose her?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So we have somebody teaching on a temporary certificate. So they're already in the classroom and they are teaching in their own area of certification. So in that case, they can do their field work in their own classroom with their own students, and it would not disturb the class at all. Now, we have the career changers, and in this case, they will need to be placed with a mentor teacher in a school in their own area of certification. Now, in this case, what our program will require is that they complete teaching observations as well as student teaching. So we combine those two for their practicum. Teaching observations will be a minimum of 150 hours. Now, you do not have to do those 150 hours in 1 month. You will have to spread them out throughout the 8 lessons that you will have to complete for TeacherReady. So that basically takes you to 4 to 6 hours per week, which is completely doable. So if you are working full time, then you will have to talk to your supervisor and get that half a day or 1 day off where you can go to the school and do your field work with your qualified mentor teacher. Now, at some point, though, you will have to complete 1 week of student teaching. Again, this is one of the differences that Dr. Miller mentioned earlier with a traditional route, where you had to do a semester or 8 weeks of student teaching. In the case of an alternative route, in the case of TeacherReady, you will have to do those 150 hours of observations and then 1 full week of student teaching. Now, one question that we get often is the summertime, because we get calls and this potential candidate is asking, okay, so what do I do during the summertime if there's no school? And then our program is designed in a way that you can do field work and coursework separately. So actually, the design of our program adapted really well to the pandemic, when schools had to close before the end of the school year, and our students didn't have to stop. They just continue with their coursework. And what they're doing is, if their school started teaching virtually, they jumped right in to do their field work virtually. And if their schools closed, then you just wait until the fall to get started with your field work. So it will adapt to this situation.
Awesome. All right. So we got a couple more questions popping in. I've noticed a large range in cost for different programs. Is it much of a difference? What should I consider in regards to cost and researching different options?
So there are a wide range of costs. And one thing that you will want to look at is what type of a program that you're signing up for. So as I mentioned earlier, for example, with TeacherReady, if you decided later you wanted to go into a master's, you're going to have up to a third of a master's completed for the time when you took TeacherReady. Mm-hmm. So that's like double bang for your buck, because not only did you pay for your certification program, but you now have a third of a master's paid for as well if you decide to go that route. Mm-hmm. So I think I would really take a look at personally, do I think in the future I may want a master's? I may not want one tomorrow, but getting a master's will get you about a $5,000 pay raise. So once you've been in the classroom a couple of years, it's nice to be able to, get that master's and get a pay raise. So definitely something that you might want to think about in weighing those options.
Well, I think that pay raise depends on what they're teaching in the school district too. It's not across the board though.
It is true, yes. So let me clarify a little bit on that. So thank you, because we don't want anybody confused.
Watch that. What?
What? You told me wrong. So it does have to be related to what you're teaching. In other words, if you're a classroom teacher, you can't get your master's in administration and that count for your pay raise. It does have to be related to what you're currently teaching. So
okay,
always important to know.
And on the same lines of cost, Linda has a question on here. She talked about Florida Teachers of Tomorrow requires a passing subject area exam and updated statement of eligibility to start with them, and they guide you through the test required during 3 years towards permanent certification. The cost is $3,000. So kind of how does that, I know that's another big program that's one that's very similar to yours. What would you have to say about that? How does that compare?
Yeah, certainly. So with our program, with TeacherReady, you can go ahead and start while you're applying for your statement of eligibility. You can start as basically a non-degree seeking status, like you can do in universities. And then once you get your statement of eligibility, then we would add that into your file. But that gives you some time to go ahead and get started and to have time to study for and take that test. But you can be knocking out the coursework in the meantime. So we find a lot of students do really like that aspect. We do help guide folks through the test. And a matter of fact, we highly recommend Learning Liaisons. It's definitely a great study prep material for folks. And we try to make sure that we encourage our students to pull the competencies down, for example, on the Florida Department of Ed website as a framework for studying. And then TeacherReady is also fully aligned to the professional ed exam. So with that alignment, that helps prepare for that exam. Awesome. Now, so the cost is a bit different, and we'll talk a bit about the cost in a minute. Our program is more; it's $5,000. But remember, you are getting graduate credit if you want to go into a master's. So you just have to weigh those two options.
And then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the big differences I noticed between what you were talking about before and a program like Florida Teachers Tomorrow is that they require the subject area exam pass first, and you guys don't, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to clarify that. And also for you guys watching live, obviously not the people watching the recording later on, I put this link on the screen. It's in the comment box. So if any of you guys want to jump on the video and share your questions with Sarah, Tatiana, they'd be happy to help you too, kind of test out this new technology we use. And join the party. Come on in. This is in the comment box as well. So let's see here. I've got some more questions going on when it talks about the FTC exams. Let me see if we could circle back to those a little later on. One of these is pretty easy. I think I can tackle this. I'm sure if I'm wrong, please let me know. But Sharon, I hope I pronounced that right, says she taught college level before working for public schools. How many credit hours teaching in college do I need to be exempt for the GK? So if I'm correct, ladies, you have to teach in a college classroom for a year, correct? It could be part-time. Is it 2 years? Is it 2 years? Okay, I thought it was a year. I stand corrected. So 2 years in the college setting, or part-time, adding those hours up to 2 years. Okay, so that's one of the exemptions in addition to getting a certain score on the GRE test. I think we had, because we talked about this last week. I don't want to deviate, but I already have it in the classroom. I never knew this, but these are for those people who are watching this recording or live. If you want to take a picture of this screen, this is from the Florida Department of Education. So if you have taken a GRE before, that's the graduate exam, because I know some people in graduate programs and they haven't taught yet. These are the scores you need to get to be exempt from each of those subtests. So just, and then you could search this right on the Florida DOE website as well. That's just a screenshot straight from it. All right. So
and you do need to have taken that GRE since 2005.
Is it 2005? Okay, awesome. All right, and I see your question, guys. We're going to tackle them all. I just want to make sure we get through some of the nuts and bolts here. We talked about that. All right, here's a good question. What if a teacher candidate needs help finding field placement?
Okay, great question. This is the case for many of our students, and what you will have.
Uh-oh, did we lose Tatiana again?
Okay, yes, here I am again. All right, I'm back. So your student advisor will take you from the very beginning, as soon as you're enrolled in your first lesson, until the end. So your student advisor will be in charge of checking with you as a new student. Okay, so what are your needs in regard to field placements? If you're a career changer and need to do your field work in a school, then your advisor will immediately start working on your placement. Now, how do we start? Of course, we will ask you first for information on school districts and private schools that are near your house. Of course, we want you to go do your field work in a place where you do not have to travel for a couple hours. So we will start with that information from you. We will approach those schools and school districts and share information about our program, how mentoring would work for their mentor teachers, and what the requirement in terms of hours and timeline will be. Something very important, and this is also related to what we were talking before, is that experience that you bring in the classroom. So we think that that is a very important piece when we connect with the schools, because we do not only tell them how the program works, but we also give them a short introduction on our students' experience, even if it's not experience in teaching, if you have experience in a different field, because we're sure that that is very valuable for the classroom and for the students. So once you are placed with a mentor teacher, then you will start your relationship with the school and with the mentor. Now, mentors need to have a minimum of 3 years of teaching experience, and mentors are considered as highly qualified by their administration, because we depend on the administration of the schools and school districts for the assignment of those mentor teachers.
Awesome. All right. So part of any alternative certification program, or the process of becoming a certified teacher, is to pass their series of Florida teacher certification exams. Now, if anyone's happened to watching this and you have to take the praxis exams, that's your series of exams for your state. They all work the same way. But when we're talking about Florida here, does TeacherReady help their students in their program with support and guidance on how to prepare and pass these exams?
Yeah, certainly. So the TeacherReady coursework aligns to the information on the professional education exam. So that's the exam that we help prepare folks for. The general knowledge material for the general knowledge test and the subject area test come from previous experience and background, and also from study guides and study prep material. So we don't prepare you for those two exams because we are a very shortened program. So obviously, we really have to focus on the education component if we're going to squeeze it in just a few months. Now, we do supply recommendations for folks of how to pull that information and study, to pull down the competency list from the Florida Department of Education, to be prepared to know what's on each exam and how to move forth with a study pattern. Now, as you mentioned, the FTCEs are required for completion. So we get asked a question a lot about if folks can be exempt from those, and no, you can't. Those are a state requirement. So you do have to take those. Even if you take a competency program, you are required to take those exams. If you want to teach in another state, you still have to take the exams. If you're doing our program with TeacherReady and you're transferring it to another state, you have to still take the Florida exams because you have to do that to be a completer with the program. And if your state then requires the praxis, they may ask you to do the praxis subject area. Every state is a bit different with transferring, but you may have to take a very similar test, but depending upon state law, you may have to take it second.
Awesome. And Marilyn, I'm going to address your question real quick. Marilyn asked about being exempt for the professional ed test. There's a very bad rumor going around in the last 6 months. I had to put out a lot of fires in our When You Pass Facebook group. When it comes to the professional ed test, that's that third in the line of the 3 exams. It is possible to get exempt from this, but there's very strict guidelines for this. One, you've got to be in a PDCP program in your school district. That's that alt-cert program. It's not a TeacherReady program. This is at your specific school district. Many school districts don't have one. And in addition to that, you have to have certain scores on your evaluation. So if you're at a school district and you're currently in a PDCP program and you're curious about that exemption, contact your certification department about that, because there are strict guidelines. And if you don't have a program and you're not in one, then there's nothing you can do about it. That's one of the big parts of that equation of potentially getting exempt. So if you're not in one, then just prepare to pass that exam. But since we're talking about that topic, I just wanted to pop that on the screen and knock that one out before we move forward. So you kind of talked about this a little bit before. What if I want to teach someplace other than Florida? Is this program something that's helpful for me?
Yeah, so we actually have students in every state and over 100 countries. So you can take the TeacherReady program and you can transfer that certificate to many other places. In some states like, say, Alabama, you can strictly apply and submit a copy of your Florida license, and they're going to give you that Alabama teaching certificate. But there are other states where you do have to take the praxis subject area, or perhaps a state test that they required, a subject area test that they may require. The good news is you've already prepped and studied for it because you would have passed the Florida exam. So it's just a little hurdle. Now, on a handful of states, they may require some special coursework. There's a state out west who swears their history is the most important thing ever, their state history, and everybody has to take their state history coursework.
Is this Texas?
Not Texas. But if you go to a state like that, they're going to work with you because they still want you to come and teach there. So they're going to issue you a temporary type certificate and give you time to take that special requirement that they have there. So TeacherReady is a great program if you want to teach in Florida or if you want to teach in other states, because it is so easily transferable.
Yeah, I'm gonna post the lady's contact information on the screen here once we wrap up towards the end. So don't worry, if you have any questions about certification or their program, you're gonna have that information before we wrap up here. And you kind of mentioned this a little bit before. So if you want to quickly go over that, and we do have some other questions regarding this, what are the costs with your program?
Sure. We would say that our program is very economical. Tuition is $5,000. Now, you do not have to make the payment up front. We mentioned that the program has 8 instructional lessons. So what you're going to do is you're going to pay per lesson. And each lesson is completed in a month. So that's how you would make your payments. And if you break that up, it would be $650 for your first 4 lessons, each one of your lessons, and then $600 for the second group of 4 lessons, just to total the $5,000. Now, we are a certification only program, so we don't qualify for federal funding. However, many of our students choose to take private loans, student loans, and we'll be happy to share that information with you. We do have a scholarship, and this is for military members, and in which you will be waived basically 50% of tuition. So military members will pay only $2,500 for tuition.
And I kind of played, someone had a comment, a question I put on the screen here about financial aid for the program. I don't know if you can see that, Tatiana.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, sure. We'll do that. Something else, since we're talking about costs, and of course, budgeting is very important, and you want to know these from the very beginning. So you have to budget for exams, because exams are going to be about $550 to $600 for the 3 exams. So when you budget for the program, that would be $5,000, and then about $600 for your exams, and then you can include there your application with the Florida Department of Education as well.
Okay. And you mentioned something before. There is a discount for military members?
That's right, 50% of tuition. So military members will pay $2,500 only.
Awesome, awesome. Amanda has a question out there on the screen. A TeacherReady program, master credits transferable to any Florida university?
Amanda, no, they are not. So you can use your TeacherReady credits at University of West Florida or any of our partner universities, and it's actually worth very specific classes on your master's. So all that's detailed on our partnership page, or you can reach out to me after this, and I'm happy to send all that information to you via email.
Awesome. We're gonna get you, everybody here, whether live or recording. We're gonna get you the contact information for them here in a couple of minutes. We got it for you guys to share. So how about this? Has the whole situation with the pandemic, COVID-19, has it changed the certification process or requirements, I should say, around the United States? What do you guys have to say on that?
It has changed some things. For example, some states are waiving the entrance requirement of some of the exams. However, please know, folks, that doesn't mean that you don't have to take them. They're just letting you start programs, and you'll still have to take that test before completing. But they're given some time because they know testing centers have been closed and testing centers are backlogged right now. Mm-hmm. Some states are also being a little more lenient on giving temporary teaching certificates because, again, folks haven't been able to test. And so they're being having some leniency there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something else that I would like to add is field work. So
uh-oh, she paused on us again. Hold on, give her a second. She'll catch up. There you go.
What I was saying is that our field placement would normally be in a brick and mortar school. And we do work, for example, with a Florida virtual school. But now, due to the pandemic, virtual field work has become more popular. We have made some changes and some adjustments to our fieldwork requirements. So our students now can do their fieldwork, including their student teaching, in a virtual environment. So this is very interesting time for our teachers, because if you see it, our new teachers are being trained with new skills. So you came to our program to do your student teaching in a classroom. Well, now, because we placed you with a virtual mentor in a virtual school, you are learning new skills, which is definitely an advantage for now and for the future.
And I would think with the opportunity to do virtual observations and do the program online, this would be a great time for anyone considering changing careers and getting into the classroom, because you're not having to physically go there. And this will definitely fit in with a lot of people's schedules a little better than previously. So definitely a good time to take advantage of that. I've got another question kind of on the same lines, and I see Linda popped in. We'll get you on the screen here in a second. Let's see here. I'm skipping around to some of these questions here. Has to do with the pandemic. Sharon had a question. Only the teachers with an expired certification, and that was June 30, 2020, got an extension because of the pandemic. Any extension for the rest of us, since exams are being pushed from March to August now? And now a lot of teachers also, I'm going to add to that, in our Facebook group, and people messaging and texting me that even people who are supposed to take their exams this week and next week Now they're getting email cancellations because some of the testing centers are either closing or minimizing the seats now. So you guys heard any words about any additional extensions or nothing yet?
We haven't heard anything yet. And of course, as soon as the FLDOE makes any decisions about these types of extensions, we'll pass them along to folks via social media. And I'm sure, Jason, you'll pass them along as well on your sites. But we'll try to get that word out just as soon as we hear anything.
Awesome. And we got Linda wants to come in and ask you guys a question. Let's welcome Linda. Hey, Linda, how you doing? Oh, we can't hear you. Hold on. I think you're on mute.
Can hear you.
I got you. Hold on.
Here I am.
There you go.
Hi, Dr. A. Hi, ladies. It's so wonderful of you to give your time to us every Monday night. The shows are fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Do you have a question for them?
I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
I'm finding out for the first time about this classroom requirement that I have to be in a classroom. My understanding is that once I pass my subject area exam, which I have, and get my updated status of eligibility, which I'm waiting for, and as long as I get hired by August 1st, which, I'm hoping so, that I'll be teaching a class. I don't know of any requirement for a practicum.
So if you get hired, Linda, and you're in a classroom, then that becomes your field work. So that meets that requirement. So it just depends on what kind of program you take. So if you get hired and you take the district program, then your teaching meets that requirement. So you just will want to make sure that if you get hired for that position that you're thinking about, that your district does offer a program that you can jump into. If your district does not offer a program and you're looking for a program, and let's say you were to choose TeacherReady, your fieldwork would still be right in your own classroom. So you would just do assignments based on what you're teaching. In other words, if we're talking about parts of a lesson plan, you would submit a lesson plan that you're using in your classroom. So it's all going to tie right in.
Okay. All right. And I do want to share a comment with everybody who this might help. When you go in and schedule your subject area exam, you may have to go out into the future and say August, for example. I really wanted to get my subject area exam for reading K-12 before the school year started so that I could get my reading endorsement to my English 6 through 12 that I just got. But I was disappointed, but I went ahead and I scheduled in August, and then I talked to the Florida DOE, or rather the website folks who take care of their tests. And what you need to do is keep checking to see if you can get your date that you want. And you don't look for the solid blue, that's available for everybody. But what happens is as people cancel and reschedule, that date goes back up on the calendar and it's just got an outline. And you go in and you click view or reschedule. So your date doesn't get messed around with until you go ahead and confirm the new date and everything. So you just look for a date that has an outline on it, and then you click on that date and see what's available. They might have 6 p.m. that day, and if that's cool with you, go for it, or 8 a.m. or whatever. If it's a time during that day that you can take it and that's okay, then you're all set. But as exams get canceled, they go back up. They go right back out onto the calendar, and you just got to grab them. So, I got the date that was closer, and then I went and did it again, and I got even closer, and I'm like, okay, cool. My date is July 23rd. That gives me the optimal time to prepare for this exam, but also is before the start of the year. So I'm good with that.
Awesome. Yeah, you definitely brought up a good point. A lot of people you guys just got to check constantly, especially now. And you could always change dates. And on a side note to that too, a lot of people are getting that. This happened a couple of months ago, but it's happening again where people's exams are getting canceled and they're in Florida and it says we rescheduled you in Minnesota or in a different state. I've had a couple people, I don't know if you guys have experienced that with your students, but that's happening a lot with people too. So don't freak out. You're not going to buy you a plane ticket to send you to another state. They're just doing that as a placeholder, and you just go in and try to reschedule it as quick as you can. But thank you, Linda. I appreciate you jumping on and sharing that. That was definitely a great piece of advice. Thank you. So we got a couple more quick questions. I know we're hitting our 7 o'clock. So let's tackle these real quickly, and then we'll wrap it up. I'm going to give everybody your contact information. So let's end with this question here. What's the one big mistake that people make or they have when it comes to this process of getting certified?
Well, I think one mistake that folks make is they apply with the FLDOE and they forget to send their official transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to get those official transcripts sent to the FLDOE, because if you wait longer than a year, your application is going to expire and you have to pay another $75. So just remember, send those transcripts right away so the FLDOE can issue that.
What do you mean? The state charges you money for paperwork? Awesome. What about you, Tatiana? Anything different from that you could add?
Well, actually, what I would say is start thinking about the Florida Teacher Certification exams from day one, because it takes time to prepare, because it takes time to get your scores back, and you can easily put them off. Mm-hmm. So if you do, then the whole process will be delayed and you will not have your teaching certificate on time for you to start looking for jobs. So as soon as you enroll in a program, as soon as you make the decision that teaching is what you want to do and you're going to enroll in an alternative certification program, then start planning on when you're going to study and when you're going to take those exams.
Awesome. So right now I've got on the screen for you guys. Actually, Matt, can we take down the URL off of that real quick? I don't want to mess anything up here. Thanks, man. So here's Dr. Miller, Tatiana, Keith. Here's our contact information. If you want to take a screenshot, if you're watching this recording or live on your cell phone, take a quick screenshot, or you can just go back to this video again. There's their emails, their information. Awesome people. If you have any questions, whether this program is maybe not a perfect fit or not, they're definitely there to help you answer any certification questions that you have. And I'm also going to put their contact information in the video description below this video. This will be in the description as well. So don't worry. If you can't find it, let me know and we will give you that information. So thank you, Dr. Miller. Thank you, Tatiana. We appreciate your time. And I know we'll have other questions afterwards on the recording. We'll definitely share those with you guys too as well. And definitely a great program. Here at the Learning Liaisons, we had a great relationship with helping tons of teacher-ready students around the world help prepare for their exams. So if you have any questions about test prep, they can help you out. We can help you out. We've got your back, because the key is you got to know that you're being supported, whether it's test prep or a program like TeacherReady. They support you and they hold your hand from beginning to end and make sure that you've got what you need to be successful. And just like the kids in the classroom, it's the same thing. You want to know that someone's there to make sure that if you have a question, they'll answer for you. So we're all in this game together. We're all here to help each other. So with that being said, I want to thank you ladies for joining. If you want to hang out for a minute, but what we're going to do is I'm going to wrap this up. So next week coming up, Matt, can we throw up next week's session again before we bring this one to a close? Episode 7, I can't believe we already did. Can you believe it's 7 already? I don't even think I learned how to use the buttons yet. So next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Monday night, we got something cool for you. If you are an educator or even a school leader and you want to know how to effectively use social media as a way to communicate with your students, provide that engaging environment, and most importantly, building that common culture of success, you definitely want to come in next week. You might have some additional guests, some other educators that work along with Keely there to provide some additional examples. So she's great on Instagram, has a great following, and knows how to use that tool with her students. So join us next week. So with that being said, thank you once again for spending another Monday evening with me. If you're watching the recording, even better, grab that URL on the top of the screen, post it on your social media, your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook. Help everybody, okay? Because this is a value-added sessions for you every week, because we want to make sure that we support you any way we can. And also, if Matt, if you want to throw it one last time on the bottom of the screen, the text number for the Deets schedule, you can do this cool little thing where you text Deets to that phone number, or you can go to our Learning Liaisons website and there's a button on the top that literally says Deets, and it'll take you to the same page. We've got lineups up through August, and we're going to be adding more. And if there's a topic that you don't see that you want to learn about, and you're an expert in the field, or you know somebody, want to nominate somebody, there's a form on that page too to fill out. That'll come straight to my email, because then to make sure we give you what you want. We just don't want to throw random stuff on here. We've got stuff with distance learning previously, cyberbullying, social distancing, and the new normal with the CDC guidelines. We've done all these episodes. Go to our YouTube channel. If you're watching right now on YouTube, you'll see below on the past episodes. We've got all the previous 6 on there, and also some additional teacher certification sessions. So with that being said, thank you. I hope you guys had a great time. We had another amazing session tonight. Big shout out to our friends over at TeacherReady. So remember, every Monday night at 6 p.m. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday night, even better week, and an awesome weekend. And we'll catch you next Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on episode 8 of the Deets with Dr. A. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next week.